So things are working a little better, but I kind of got backtracked a little bit because well, a couple things. So I'll just show you. All right, so here in the contact float, when I open up the contact float, things are looking all right. But so I implemented your script here. You can see where I changed everything. I put the the if else and changed this to the global variable for the name, did all that stuff. And so it's working okay if I'm going, as long as there are records, kind of like before. So there you can see that if I go to layout mode, you can see here, that's, that global variable, just like you said. If I go here, actually this one is I did the regular old field or merge field there. But anyway, go back. So until you go to something that does not have any records, so here it's still working, but now when I go back to one of these two, they stay empty. Now everything just stays empty there until I go back to contacts. Everything's working unless I hit one of these guys with 0 records, and then everything just kind of disappears until I go back to there. So that's kind of funky and not quite working correctly. I don't know what I did wrong. I'm sure I missed something that you told me. So that's the first thing, still not quite fixed. The other thing is I didn't even get to implement your fix for the price stuff because I kind of went backwards on something here. So if I create this invoice, a script runs that fills out these line items here, or this line item according to what all the information on the agreement is. And right here, I'm just having this here to show you, this is a summary field of all of the line item totals, right? So first of all, I have to click out of it for there to be anything. It doesn't happen automatically. So that's the first weird thing. And then secondly, so everything's working okay there. Let's say I add another line item, and that's a script trigger, and that runs to fill all this out. And then so again, that's blank here, and I got to click out of it, and it's working okay, except the problem is I thought it would not be a good idea to have that because I guess my understanding is it's difficult to run calculations off of a summary field. And then also when we go back over here and we're having hundreds of these things, if I'm going to have hundreds and hundreds of invoices laid out and stuff like this, it's going to have to be running all those calculations. So I thought it would be better if there was just a field here that somehow that would get put in there. Now I was going to say, hey, I'll just do a script, and every time you add a new thing, add a new item to, every time you add a new line item here, this will be a part of a script trigger, and it'll just get a variable and then set that field. But I was just thinking, well, is that smart? Because then every time I'm doing it, let's say as I develop this thing, every time I want to do something that's going to affect the subtotal of an invoice, like even, if I delete, now I'm going to have another script where it has to run and blah, 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 and then change that thing. So, what is best practice? Should this somehow, be just, calculated result that gets entered into that field, but yet is not a calculation that's always having to run. It's just data saved in the field. Because you can see here, if I go into layout mode, that I have, I tried just doing, see, where's the subtotal? There it is. You can see where I tried doing it just, to be the, just that field. And calculate it up from there. I've tried every kind of which way I can think of, validating always, storing it, not storing it, everything. I've tried every which way thing I can think of. So I'm not clear on how the relationship on these summary fields to everything, and why can I not get that information and plug it into that field as just a saved bit of data and not being calculated, or should, is it pretty common practice to just run a script to gather that information and plug it there for every conceivable time, that this information would change? Because eventually it's going to be to where, I'm going to search every active thing, and then I'm going to create a button with a script that says, hey, invoice everybody, and it'll run a loop and invoice everybody. And, so I don't know if it's smart to do this off of a script or not, but if that is the case, I guess I can figure that out myself. But is it possible to make this, say, calculate to where every time, these line items change, should this be a calculation or should it be a script? I don't know. So if you could help me figure out what direction to go with that, and then also help me figure out why that navigation thing is still acting a little funky. See, now it works now that there's a record in there, but if I get rid of it, then now it's weird again. So anyway, any help you can offer is greatly appreciated. Thanks again. Have a good one.